Hello everyone, Moonreader here with the next video in the What the Heck Am I Doing series. This is still FL Studio. Now I'm going to be covering the piano roll. So, for those of you who are just tuning in, I've already covered the step sequencer, and so the next step is the piano roll, which is this guy. Alright, so this is once you already done the step sequencer, put in, whatever you want in there, whichever VSTIs or whatnot. Now you take it to the piano roll, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You can, all the notes are labeled over here. There's time along here, so basically it goes like this. You just place your notes in wherever you want. That's not a terribly good sound, so here's a little, first a little tip about the piano roll. This is new to, I think, FL9, or maybe it's new to FL10, I forget exactly which version, but it doesn't matter. If you go to the name, this is the name of the VSTI that I'm using right now. This is drop-down menu where you can choose between all the ones you have in your step sequencer. I'm just using Silenthin right now. If you right-click on that, though, it will show the actual VSTI you're using, so you can tweak it if you want. I'm going to choose, just real quick, a better sounding preset that isn't as harsh. Okay, there we go. So there's that, and you just essentially make your melody. There is obviously the notes here, so I'm starting at C5. I'll do something, bear in mind I don't really know music theory, so this is all just guess and check for me. Whatever sounds good, so here goes. Obviously these, before I do anything else, these, you can see there's sort of darker lines. These mark octaves going vertically, and then horizontally these are measures. So there's a beat here, a beat here, a beat here, a beat here, and then the first beat of the next measure, and so on. And they're numbered up at the top. You can also resize it vertically with this guy right up here. You click and drag, and that gives you the width. I like to keep it around here. And you can also resize it horizontally by dragging the edge of this scroll bar. You can obviously click and drag to scroll, or you can just click the edge and pull it. There's a full 4 measures. So here, let me just make something real quick. Yay, very complicated. Okay, here's another trick. So say that I am being really boring and I just want to have this same pattern, I would press space to play, Let's say I just want to have that, the whole 4 measures. Well, there's an easy way to select it. You can use your keyboard shortcuts, press, oh geez, I don't even know. Yeah, E is the selection tool, or you can select them from up here. You have various tools, and notice in this top box it shows you the tool, and also the keyboard shortcut. I use mainly selection, which is E, and pencil, which is P. Alright. Or you can also, FL Studio 10 has this new sort of magic wand tool where you basically take the mouse, nothing selected right now, and you circle whatever notes you want to select, and ta-da! And then you can basically copy pasta, which is the same keyboard shortcuts you used to, so Control-C. And the thing about copy and pasting is it'll put it into the next available measure that's fully on the screen. So right now, if I just do Control-V, it'll put it right here, where I already have notes. However, if I obscure that a little by scrolling over, it'll put it in the next measure, like so. And I can keep doing that, so on and so forth, but right now I'm going to move this. Once I have them all selected, there are some special things you can do, where you can resize all the notes, but you can obviously move them all as a single unit. And there's also this thing, which I don't really use all that much. It's kind of a weird resizing deal. Yeah, say you mess up, you can also Control-Z, and that'll put it back to, it's basic undo. So let's just move this up to D. Alright, and there we have basic melody, blah blah blah. Yeah, that sounds really bad, but it's just for demonstration. Oh yeah, the way you unselect, or deselect rather, is you right-click away from it, and it does it. Normal circumstances, drawing is clicking. You can resize the note. You can move it around. If you double-click it, you get this note properties where you can make a slide thing. That only works for native VSTIs, native instruments in FL Studio, so it won't work for Silent 1 since I bought it separately. But that basically, well, I'll show you in a native one actually in just a minute here. But that essentially lets you do a slide thing. There's portamento, all that stuff. Usually portamento comes with the VSTI, so you don't really need to mess with that. That's basically it. Oh yeah, and you have notes of separate lengths now, right? Well, say you have a pattern that uses these two sizes and you don't want to have to continually put a new note and resize it. Well, you can just click on the size you want and it'll draw that now. Ta-da! And then you go back to the other one. So that's handy. Alright, I use that a lot. There's also, oh yes, this is important. So a lot of bass hunter-ish songs and such will have sort of stutter step notes. These guys. Like that, which sounds, you know, which sounds like that. It's really confusing to get this. This is one of the things that caught me up when I was first learning FL Studio, because you need to modify the snap. Alright, which you go into the options. This is the piano roll options. You have a whole slew of stuff here. I'll get into some of the basic stuff, but you want to go to, no, where is it? One of these has, oh, right there, snap, dir. Alright, you basically, I have it set to half a step, which is basically each one of these small little grid lines. I'm not sure if you can see those, is a step. So I have it set to half a step. Let's do a third, fourth. It's set default on step. So the largest, or rather the smallest you can make it is that, which isn't particularly good for this stutter step stuff. So I usually set it to half a step as default. Incidentally, that drop-down menu is also where I changed the color of this piano roll. You'll notice yours probably isn't purple, and also your playlist probably isn't red. Playlist has the same drop-down thing with a couple different buttons. I'll get into that in a later video. But okay, once you have your basic melody, you can also do some MIDI stuff. For those of you who don't know what MIDI is in context of FL Studio, it's essentially just, it saves these specific notes as a file that you can import into another project, stuff like that. The way you do that is you can do export as MIDI file, and you'll get basically this, you know, save dialog. You can save it wherever. Once you have a MIDI file saved, however, you can click and drag it in. So I have a whole bunch of MIDI files saved. Where is it? MIDI files, right here. These are a whole bunch of MIDI files I've saved, that I've made. So basically you just drag and drop, and yes, all tracks in here, and it drops a MIDI file in here. This is what this one sounds like. Alright, so that's, you know, it's what it is, take it or leave it. You'll notice that sounded a bit high. So the way you can change notes by octave is you select them all. So here I'm going to use the handy wand to get them all. Once they're all selected, you do Control and arrow up or arrow down on the keyboard. Arrow down obviously moves it down an octave, so now it's on G4 or G3, however, and up obviously moves it up. So let's try it on G4, see what it sounds like. Sounds a lot better than something up here which is really squeaky. That almost hurts your ears a bit. So you can tweak that. Again, be careful that you have, that when you use that shortcut, you have clicked the window here, this piano roll window, because if you do not, it will mess with your library here. It will actually collapse everything, which is really unfriendly. If you have a whole bunch of menus open and you're scrolling between them, it'll just collapse everything to the simplest view, and you have to go and open everything up again. So just make sure that you've at least clicked on this window, so it's the active window before you do that. And that's really the basics of the piano roll so far. There's, oh yeah, I haven't explained this guy down here. This is the velocity right now. The way I can tell that, so this is the note loudness. You'll notice if I change it, those beginning notes will be quieter and they'll get louder. Well, actually, they won't, because this is a non-native plugin and this sort of tweaking doesn't work. So I'll just reset that. You can also change note panning, release, fine pitch, that sort of thing. I don't use it terribly much, but it's good for sort of making variations in your melodies, fine variations. You can also resize it for better articulation. Ooh, yay, big word. I'm a creative writing major. I can use big words. Okay, so that doesn't work for this because, like I said, it's a non-native plugin. Well, okay. Let's just change the instrument here. Here is a native plugin. Just use... Oh, hey, let's do it. We'll use that. Alright, notice, okay, so now I'm in a different VSTI. You can still see that original one back here. I enabled a thing called ghost channels, which is really helpful. That's in helpers. Ghost channels right there. And that basically allows you, when you're in the same pattern, I haven't gone over patterns yet, but when you're in the same pattern, you can see the other channel and, okay, if you double right click on it, that's double erase on that ghost channel, it'll take you there, which is a handy navigation feature. Alright, but let's say I don't want my melodies to be playing at the same time because they'll interfere with each other. Erase that. Well, here's where patterns come into play. I'm on pattern 1 right now. You have, as you can see, a whole lot of patterns. I usually don't use more than, about 30 at the most. Depending on, what kind of music you're making, how professional you are, or whatnot, you may use more or less patterns. But basically, patterns are, well, here's pattern 1. Pattern 2 opens sort of a new slate, quote-unquote, with the piano roll, so you can make another melody. Blah, 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 blah. I'll just import another thing. Oh yeah, another way you can import these is middle clicking. That's clicking the scroll button. And it'll do the same thing. Ta-da! So let's play that. Alright, so that's not too bad. And here, if I tweak the velocity, again, that's note loudness, you should be able to hear it, because this is a native plugin. So let's try it. Yeah, notice it sort of eased in. Let's reset that. You can also do panning, blah, blah, blah. So you can play around with those settings. That's pretty much the basics of the piano roll. So again, thanks for watching. My next video will be on the playlist, which is sort of the next step in making a song. So yes, thanks for your time. Look forward to seeing you next video, and goodbye, and good luck.